Ellen Corby truly hated him more than anyone. Ellen Corby, born Ellen Hanson Corby on June 3, 1911 in the quiet town of Racine, Wisconsin, grew up far from the Hollywood lights that would one day define her legacy. Raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, she discovered early on that the stage and screen spoke to something deep inside her. She wasn't just talented, she was perceptive, emotionally sharp, and quietly intense, qualities that later became her signature on camera. After high school, she didn't dive straight into acting. Instead, she slipped into Hollywood through the side door, working as a script girl and continuity clerk in the early 1930s. Those long hours behind the camera gave her something many actors never get, an intimate understanding of how movies truly worked. She learned to read a scene like a technician and feel it like an artist, watching angles, pacing, and performance blend into something magical. But all that time observing only strengthened her desire to step out of the shadows. By the mid-1930s, Ellen finally began taking small film roles, many uncredited but impossible to ignore. Her slight build, piercing eyes, and unmistakable voice left an impression far bigger than her screen time. Hollywood quickly learned that Ellen Corby wasn't the type to steal scenes. She transformed them. Reliable, disciplined, and quietly magnetic, she became the kind of character actress directors trusted and audiences remembered, even when they didn't yet know her name. Over the years, Ellen appeared in a long list of classic Hollywood films such as It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, Little Women, 1949, Shane, 1953, and Sabrina, 1954. Even when her roles were small, she had a remarkable ability to convey deep emotion through the slightest expressions, leaving a lasting impression on audiences. Her true breakthrough came in 1948 when she played Aunt Trina in I Remember Mama. Her sincere, heartfelt performance earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress and a Golden Globe, firmly establishing her as one of the most respected supporting performers of her time. Yet, despite her growing acclaim, Ellen never sought fame for its own sake. She was content to serve the story and bring authenticity to every character she portrayed. During the 1950s and 1960s, Ellen became a familiar face on television, appearing in major series like The Twilight Zone, Bonanza, The Andy Griffith Show, Perry Mason, and the Beverly Hillbillies. Her range was extraordinary. She could portray strict mothers, quirky aunts, or gentle, unassuming neighbors with effortless charm, always leaving viewers curious about what unique shade of humanity she would bring to the screen next. Each appearance carried her signature mix of warmth, wit, and gentle authority. Audiences may not have always known her name, but they recognized her instantly, a presence that felt familiar, comforting, and undeniably genuine. But it wasn't until 1972 that Ellen Corby stepped into the role that would define her legacy, Grandma Esther Walton on the beloved drama The Waltons. Set during the hardships of the Great Depression, the series followed the trials and triumphs of a tight-knit Virginia family. And in the middle of it all was Ellen, whose portrayal of the family matriarch resonated deeply with viewers. As Grandma Walton, she brought a blend of strength, tenderness, and quiet humor, becoming the emotional anchor of the entire household. Her on-screen partnership with Will Geer, who played Grandpa Walton, made their characters one of television's most heartfelt and authentic elderly couples. Her work on the show earned her 3 Emmy Awards and cemented her place in TV history. But in 1976, tragedy struck when Ellen suffered a severe stroke that left her partially paralyzed and unable to speak. Many assumed her career had come to an abrupt end. Ellen, however, was never the type to surrender. With remarkable determination, she fought her way through rehabilitation and ultimately returned to the Waltons, weaving her real-life recovery into Grandma Walton's own storyline. Her comeback wasn't just a performance, it was a testament to her courage and unwavering dedication to her craft. When she appeared on screen again, audiences were moved to tears, not only for the character they loved but for Ellen herself, a woman whose resilience shone as brightly as the role that made her unforgettable. Off-screen, Ellen Corby was a private, gentle, and deeply spiritual woman. She preferred the quiet life in California, far from the spotlight, and nurtured lifelong friendships with many of her colleagues. Fame never altered her humility or warmth, and those who worked with her often spoke of her as a mentor, a source of guidance, and a comforting presence on set. The cast and crew of The Waltons held her in high regard, not just for her talent, but for the steady wisdom and kindness she brought to every interaction. Throughout the long run of the show, Ellen continued to work well into her later years, appearing in special episodes and other television projects. Even after retiring from acting, her influence remained strong. Her unwavering dedication to her craft, her resilience in the face of hardship, and her embodiment of enduring values like family, love, and perseverance made her a figure of grace and inspiration in Hollywood. In her personal life, Ellen Hansen married Francis Corby in 1934, a film director and cinematographer 2 decades her senior during the early stages of her career in Hollywood. At a time when Ellen was still carving out her place in the industry, working tirelessly as a script supervisor and aspiring actress, this union brought her into close contact with someone who already had considerable experience in film. Francis Corby, known for his technical mastery behind the camera, exposed Ellen to new creative perspectives and professional opportunities, shaping her understanding of the craft. Despite their age difference, the marriage initially seemed to be a meeting of minds, a partnership blending his seasoned expertise with her youthful ambition. Ellen often credited Francis with encouraging her to explore her own artistic passions. His deep understanding of film gave her a rare window into the mechanics of storytelling, cinematography, and direction, sparking her growing fascination with the craft. Their home became a lively gathering place for writers, directors, and actors, a creative haven where ideas flowed freely and Ellen's ambitions as an actress and screenwriter could take root and flourish. Yet, as the years passed, cracks began to appear in their marriage. The relentless pace of Hollywood, combined with the evolving goals of both partners, created a quiet distance between them. Ellen was increasingly asserting her independence, carving out her voice in a male-dominated industry, while Francis, established and focused on his career, had his own priorities. After a decade together, the couple divorced in 1944. Though they had no children, Ellen later reflected on that period with thoughtfulness rather than regret, recognizing it as a formative chapter in her life. The experience shaped her understanding of relationships, personal growth, and the sacrifices often required to pursue one's creative passions. The end of her marriage marked the start of a new phase of self-discovery and personal freedom. A decade later, in 1954, Ellen met Stella Lucetta, a meeting that would profoundly influence her personal life. Stella, a warm and compassionate woman with unwavering loyalty, entered Ellen's world at a time when deep companionship and emotional connection mattered far more than fame or glamour, offering her a sense of stability and understanding she had long sought. Their friendship grew naturally, built on a foundation of mutual respect and genuine affection. Over time, that bond evolved into a lifelong partnership, one that would sustain Ellen through the highs and lows of both her personal life and her career in Hollywood. Stella became more than a companion. She was Ellen's anchor, a constant source of emotional strength, encouragement, and unwavering loyalty. Together, they created a quiet, private world away from the glare of fame, filling their home with laughter, shared interests, and simple joys. Stella stood beside Ellen during the demanding years of portraying Grandma Esther Walton on the Waltons, offering steady support through grueling filming schedules and the emotional intensity of the role. When Ellen suffered a serious stroke in 1976, Stella stepped in as caregiver and advocate, guiding her recovery and helping her return to the series, a powerful testament to their enduring devotion. Though their relationship was never publicly defined in detail due to the conservative social climate of the time, it was deeply intimate and marked by lifelong commitment. On set, Ellen Corby earned a reputation for her kindness, professionalism, and warm, nurturing spirit. She treated colleagues like family, particularly during her tenure on the Waltons, where she brought the beloved Grandma Esther Walton to life with authenticity and heart. Yet, behind the scenes, those closest to her revealed that not all of Ellen's professional relationships were smooth. There was one surprising dynamic in particular that hinted at tension, showing that even someone as gracious and respected as Ellen navigated challenges in Hollywood just like everyone else. Ellen Corby, it seems, carried a quiet but strong resentment toward Richard Thomas, the actor who brought John Boy Walton to life. Their tension reportedly grew over time, and while they maintained a civil, professional relationship on set, Ellen's feelings ran far deeper than most people ever suspected. "I never had patience for arrogance," she once admitted, and in my eyes, Richard had that youthful air that could grate on anyone, no matter how hard you tried to overlook it. Their paths first crossed in 1972 when The Waltons premiered. Richard Thomas, barely in his early 20s, quickly became the breakout star of the series. His portrayal of John Boy, the sensitive and ambitious young writer, won him instant acclaim and recognition. Ellen, decades his senior and a seasoned veteran of Hollywood, approached the show with a discipline rooted in the old studio system. Punctuality, preparation, and respect for hierarchy were non-negotiable in her book, standards she felt Richard did not always uphold. "He was talented," Ellen reportedly said, "but talent means very little if you let it go to your head." He liked to talk about art and philosophy, but sometimes all I wanted was for him to show up on time and remember this was a job, not a classroom. Their friction did not emerge overnight. It simmered through subtle disagreements and repeated moments of irritation. Ellen respected Richard's abilities, but often misinterpreted his youthful confidence as condescension. Meanwhile, Richard, shaped by a younger generation, sometimes found Ellen overly rigid and resistant to new approaches. What began as small tensions slowly built into a complex dynamic that added an undercurrent of unease to the legendary series. Behind the scenes, the differences between Ellen Corby and Richard Thomas were impossible to ignore. "He had that easy charm," Ellen once remarked. "The kind that wins everyone over, but it never worked on me. I saw through the charm to the ego underneath." Her blunt honesty earned her both respect and a certain wariness from younger co-stars, and Thomas was no exception. As filming progressed over the years, small incidents slowly intensified the tension. Ellen, a consummate perfectionist, grew frustrated when scenes required multiple takes, which she often attributed to Richard's perceived lack of focus. Coming from an era when an actor was expected to deliver every line flawlessly, she felt the younger generation sometimes took their opportunities for granted. "He'd joke around between takes, trying to lighten the mood," she said. "But to me, it felt like disrespect. I'd spent decades earning my place in this business, and I didn't have time for games." The younger cast adored Richard, which only heightened Ellen's irritation. She couldn't understand why they overlooked what she saw as immaturity. Yet, Ellen was never cruel or vindictive. Even in her frustration, she maintained professionalism, never insulting Richard publicly or refusing to work with him. Those who knew her well, however, could sense the simmering tension whenever they shared a scene. Crew members recalled Ellen becoming unusually tense or curt in his presence. "He just got under my skin," she admitted years later. "I don't even know why. Maybe it was his confidence, or maybe he reminded me of someone from my past. All I know is I dreaded those long scenes with him more than with anyone else." Interestingly, with age and reflection, Ellen's feelings toward Richard softened slightly, though she never denied the challenges of their relationship. After her stroke in 1976, Richard was among the cast who reached out with supportive letters and kind words. True to her candid nature, Ellen couldn't help but offer a wry smile whenever his name came up, a subtle acknowledgement of a complicated, unforgettable dynamic that had left its mark on her long and storied career. "He meant well," Ellen admitted, "but there are some people you simply can't connect with, no matter how many kind words they send your way." Even years after Richard Thomas had left the Waltons to pursue other projects, Ellen reportedly spoke of him with a mixture of admiration and irritation, as if their tense dynamic had left an indelible mark on her memory. What makes this tension so compelling is how it contrasted with Ellen Corby's well-earned reputation for warmth and mentorship. She adored nearly all of her co-stars on the show, particularly Will Geer, who played her husband Zeb Walton, and the younger actors whom she treated like grandchildren. Yet with Richard Thomas, the connection never quite formed. Perhaps it was a generational divide, perhaps a clash of personalities, or perhaps Ellen saw in him the very traits she had learned to temper in herself while navigating Hollywood's unforgiving landscape. Whatever the cause, her feelings were unmistakable. "I respected him as an actor," she said candidly, "but I didn't like him as a man." In the end, the uneasy working relationship between Ellen and Richard became one of those little-known, behind-the-scenes dynamics that added subtle complexity to the Waltons' legacy. Their on-screen chemistry as family members remained undeniable, a testament to their professionalism. Yet, behind the smiles and heartfelt moments, Ellen's private frustration lingered. Whether it stemmed from pride, principle, or personality, her dislike for Thomas was one of the few conflicts she never fully resolved. After years of declining health, Ellen Corby passed away at the age of 87 on April 14, 1999, at the Motion Picture and Television Country House and Hospital in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles. She was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, leaving behind a legacy of grace, resilience, and unforgettable performances that continue to resonate with audiences to this day.